from the News Channel 5 Network and Out and About newspaper. This is Out and About Today, sponsored by the Tennessee Performing Arts Center.
Good evening and welcome to Out and About Today. I'm Pam Wheeler. We've got a great show for you tonight. Chuck will preview Actors Bridge Ensemble's The Haunted Project. And later in the show, Brent sits down with T.K. Hampton, Executive Director of Live.org, to talk HIV advocacy. But first, we open tonight with our weekly Buzz About Gab session. I'm joined by my hosts, Brent and Chuck. It's LGBT History Month, people, and we need to talk about it. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. Great, exciting month.
It is, and it's Halloween. We're not spending a lot of time on Halloween.
Gosh, we're back to Halloween. I feel like we're always doing Halloween.
Yeah. We're always doing the next thing.
Yeah.
So did you guys realize, do you think about October being LGBT History Month?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. When I was at the paper, we would do a thing every month or every year and cover it. So yeah, it's kind of stood out as, and I know a lot of places have started doing Pride in October because of that too.
Well, that's interesting. Well, it's been around since 1994.
Oh, that long? I didn't know.
But in 2006, I just have a wealth of information right here. No, in 2006, the Equality Forum assumed responsibility for providing content. And what they've done since then is pick out 31 icons. And I've asked you guys to take a look at the website. Our viewers can go to lgbthistorymonth.com and they pick a person a day to highlight for their contributions. And I wanted you each to pick one to talk about, and then I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
So Brent, who were you thoughtful of?
Well, when you sent that, there's a little video, and I sort of looked through the video, and because at first I didn't really recognize a lot of the names, which kind of made me feel bad about myself. Like I should know more of the names. You know, like I recognized Caitlyn Jenner and maybe one other, that's a whole other discussion. But the one that I landed on was Marsha Johnson, and she was a drag queen activist that was around during Stonewall, and just had a really fascinating. Actually, brought a couple of pictures here of her. You probably can see that now. Had a fascinating history. She was involved in Pride. She did a lot throughout New York, and just was one of those figures that I thought I should know her. So I picked her, and I'm going to read up on her. Okay, I like it. What about you, Chuck?
Well, yeah, and also I wanted to mention too, like the Advocate was doing a spotlight on a lot of the historic contributions of people in the LGBT community, and their number one, and I just so admire her, is Rachel Maddow. I just, for me, what she's done in broadcast to kind of further the cause. She's intelligent, she's sharp, she's witty, she's funny. You know, to me, there's nobody that can best her in an interview. She's just, to me, she's what we needed in media and what we needed in broadcast, and I'm just such a huge fan and supporter of hers.
Let me get this straight. You picked someone not on the list. You picked someone that's not on 2017's list?
That is my list. I thought it was the Advocate.
Oh, I think we're not on the same page. However, I'm with both of those selections. Right there, yeah. I did want to say, I think she was featured actually a couple years ago.
She was.
But Caitlyn Jenner, who's featured prominently, probably because of recognition on the picture that we've had up, I mean, I would say by definition she's an icon, and I would say that a couple years ago on her transition being documented, it had conversations like none other. It prompted conversations like none other, right? But for me, I just have a little bit of a hit in the gut because of some of her political affiliations and statements, and even, I'm this shallow, the Kardashian, like the things she wrote about Kris Jenner. That makes me mad. Do you guys have any thoughts about her making the list?
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, if it wasn't, and again, this may sound terrible, but if she wasn't transgender, there's no way she would have been anywhere close to that list based on her views and you know, her previous history as Bruce. So it just seems sort of like, really already, like she just maybe in another couple years if she's sort of done something to help the community besides. I mean, and again, as you said, she's vocal. She had the show. She's out there. She's seen. It just seemed like she was in company that maybe she wasn't ready to be in company with.
Well, we even saw on the Will and Grace episode when they were showing them playing the game, and they showed her name, and they were like, somebody you really want to love, but we just don't.
See,
I was like, you know,
exactly.
Yeah, okay, so I've got some company. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So in this month, this GLBT History Month, October 11th is coming out day, and that's why the connection with the month. So we only have a couple minutes, of course, but I wanted you guys each to share. I think we all feel that coming out is what helps change hearts and minds and policies and all. So share with our viewers, because they probably don't know you as well as I do, your little coming out journey story, something attached to your coming out.
Do you want to go or do you want me to start?
Go ahead.
Well, we were talking before, I never really had sort of an official coming out moment that I could recall, but there was a particular moment that I talked with a friend from high school. My 20th high school reunion was a few years ago, and we were sort of just catching up, and I could tell he wanted to say something. You know, he was kind of dancing around the subject, and so we finally got a couple drinks in us, and he started telling me that he remembered how I was treated in high school and knew that he had been a part of some of that treatment. You know, nothing super serious, name calling, the usual that I'm sure a lot of us got, and he apologized for it. So it was sort of like I was officially coming out to him and saying that, you know, this is who I am, and he of course had known that, but it was for him to say I'm sorry really was sort of a defining moment for me to know that if he felt this way, maybe some of the others felt that way and they just weren't brave enough to say it. So it was kind of like almost a reverse coming out, but it was the closest thing I had to having a conversation with someone in my past about that.
Right. Chuck, what do you have to share?
Just real quickly, I had worked in television when I moved to LA, and I was working, you know, in broadcast media and in the country music industry, and I just thought, there's no way that I can ever, you know, acknowledge this. And I remembered specifically when I got here and was working for TNN, one of my coworkers said, "Are you gay?" And you know, and at the time, I had never even said the word. I knew I was, but I'd never had any experience or anything. And I thought, this is so unfair. I'm being asked if I'm gay. He thinks that I'm gay, and I haven't even had the pleasure of actually acting upon it. So it was tough. But eventually, in my mid-30s, I said, I can't. You know, it's like I'm going to go ahead and this is who I am.
Well, how did you answer the question?
Did you say no?
I said no at that time, because and at the time I was thinking I'm trying not to be. So, but finally it was like, this is who I am, so this is who I'm going to be.
Well, thanks for sharing, because I think having those conversations are important. We're out of time, also I'd ask you a little bit follow-up, but I'll see you soon.
She got out of telling her story.
I know, next time, next year. Okay, the Entertainment Outlook is next. Chuck takes a look at Actors Bridge Ensemble's The Haunted Project. Stay with us.